All right, it is 2 o'clock, and I hereby call to order the 2024 meeting, or rather the November 13th, 2024 meeting of the City of Prescott General Plan Committee. Board members present are, please state present when I call your name. Terry Sapio, present. Don Michaelman, I hear he's going to be a little bit late. Tom Davis is here. Andre Carmen, not present. Mary Fredrickson.
Here.
Ralph Hess.
Here.
Jim Huffman.
Present.
Rod Moyer.
Here.
J.D. Greenberg. James McCarver. Not yet. He oftentimes will come in a little bit after 2 o'clock. Tom Riley.
Present.
Okay, so right now we have 7. Okay, we'll require 4 votes for a majority. Continuing on, the staff members present, we have Chelsea Walton and Tammy DeWitt, and we have Lois Fruworth from the City Council. We have Kathy Rusing from City Council. This is an open public meeting and is being recorded by the city. The proceedings are being televised by representatives of the public media, the public, local cable and/or radio stations, and may also be rebroadcast. All parties wishing to be heard, including committee members, are required to state their name prior to speaking in order to ensure proper recordation. Members of the public are required to state their name and address for the record so that we may know who is speaking and to be able to contact them at a later date if necessary.
Chair, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I think I counted 8, not 7.
Yes.
Oh, yes, Tom. Okay, so we have 8 and we need...
5.
We need 5 for a majority. Thanks, Mary. Okay, action items. A, approval of the August 28th, 2024 and the October 30th, 2024 General Plan Committee meeting minutes. Any discussion on the August 28 minutes? Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Okay, second. Rod? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, and I abstain because I was not at the meeting.
I abstain as well.
Oh, and Ralph abstains as well. Okay. October 30th meeting, any discussion on those minutes? JD?
My name is spelled 2 ways on that and the minutes. For those present, it's spelled correctly, and in the text, it's spelled incorrectly. It's Greenberg with an E-R-G.
ERG. And is there a, let me find that. What page number is that?
It was just, when it endorsed.
Please make sure to use the microphone so everyone can hear. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, spelled correctly.
When it listed
roll
those in
call.
attendance, it was spelled correctly, but then when I made comments throughout the report, it had me U-R-G, so.
It's B-E-R-G, that's correct. Do you have a, okay, on page 12 of 16 for the agenda packet, I see it's spelled B-U-R-G.
I think it's
Toward the bottom of the
several
page.
other places.
Yes.
Okay, several other places, okay.
Yeah.
So that needs to be corrected wherever it's found. Okay, great. Any other questions?
I have a feeling that you'd know who I am, whether it's spelled correctly or not.
We do.
There's 2 Greenbergs. Yeah, JD. Okay. Any other comments, corrections? Okay, do I have a motion for the October 30th minutes?
So moved. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, passes unanimous. All right, now on to item B, presentation and discussion regarding the review of comments submitted to date during the 60-day public comment period. Tammy.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. Tammy DeWitt, Community Planner. So the spreadsheet that was sent to you were the comments we had received online through the virtual meeting room through November 5th. We have had others added since then, but they'll be added later. They also had on it some comments from some staff at the time, but we have more that have been added, which is shown on the screen. That's our live working document that all the department heads and the other departments have had access to add additional comments to it. So, so this is 20 pages worth of comments. I'm thinking we go through this kind of page by page, or is there another way you guys see doing this? Or does anybody have comments for any particular ones that we might want to address? There's a lot of them that we can't, that's either it's already addressed in the plan and people didn't look to other areas. And we made comments that this is addressed on this page, in this section, or this strategy, or we can't, or it's not something we can address in the plan. There's a lot of comments that either it's a violation of state law, or that it's just not something that's for a general plan. So we can kind of go through these.
Tammy,
Yes.
maybe I missed it. Did you say these also include all comments from the 2 open houses?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I added all those. So all those are in there. They're all in the virtual meeting room. And so all these comments were cut and paste from the virtual meeting room. There has been more added of the weekend, but I have not had time to go through them. So, but what you have in front of you is through November 5th. So when we created the packet. But we could kind of go through some of these comments. But first off, I want to see, is there anything in particular that stands out as something that we need to address or has not been addressed?
Kathy, you were saying, come on up.
And please remember that for those of you that have your paper copies, those are outdated and have been updated. So you really need to be looking at the version online to get the most up-to-date, and that's the one we're asking for public comments on. Okay.
Thank you. First of all, I want to say I am so thrilled with this new general plan. It is so refreshing and forward-thinking and reflects the spirit of the community. I think city staff and I think the committee has done an outstanding job. And I'm here today. I've reviewed the general plan. I think it's fabulous, but I'm here to bring your attention to page 1. There's an issue here that we definitely need to chat about. Under introduction, it's right after the table of contents. Under Prescott's vision. The city of Prescott City hopes that all people within its limits feels welcome. As such, the city does not condone the discrimination or harassment of individuals based on the identifying characteristics such as race, sex, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender expression or identity, religious practice, spiritual practice, age, or mental, physical ability. I think that we have a land use, land planning document here, and this does not belong. I texted the city attorney, I sent him a screenshot, and said, I think this anti-discrimination clause on page 1 is inappropriate for a land planning document. It will open us to lawsuits and will become a flashpoint when we sell this plan to the public. What do you say? In a nutshell, he said no. This is not appropriate. It will be something that the public might have a hard time passing. The city already complies with Title VII of the Civil Rights Act. Maybe if we work with the attorney, maybe we can wordsmith this and just have something general, to make us welcome. But, we're already complying with a federal umbrella and a state umbrella of anti-discrimination laws. And I just feel that this is something that is just going to be divisive in our community. Thank you. And then I have one other comment. On page 43, under a community connected, last paragraph on the right. Over the years, if you want to fill council chambers with an angry neighborhood, just have someone pull a special use permit for a cell tower in a residential neighborhood. As you know, we have inclusive zoning. And if you've looked at all 27 zoning categories that we have, under residential, single-family residential, anybody in any neighborhood can pull a special use permit, and if they get it passed, you can have an 80-foot cell tower, you can have a 2 million gallon water tank, you can have a cemetery, mausoleum, and other things on your residentially zoned lot. In fact, with inclusive zoning, a single family lot is basically an industrial zone. People don't know that, and so they show up and they're very angry. And they're worried about their property values. So what this says, the first paragraph of the first sentence of the last paragraph is, it is common belief that close proximity of cellular facilities to residences negatively impacts property values. I think that's not totally true. It does impact property values. We have a letter from the county assessor, Judd Simmons. He sent it to the Yavapai Hills people a couple of years ago. They showed up in force because there was going to be an 80-foot cell tower literally in someone's backyard. And I would like to see it wordsmithed to, it may or may not impact property values, rather than just this impression that it's not going to impact property values. And I'd also...
Excuse me a minute. Mr. Chair.
Ralph?
Councilwoman Rusing, would you tell us again what page you're referencing?
43.
43 of the draft.
45 of the new plan.
Oh, I'm
okay.
sorry. I have the, I'm sorry. Yeah, under a community connected.
Thank you.
Okay. I would like to see also some language updated, promoting the use of stealth technology. For example, every cell tower doesn't have to be a big girder structure, 120 feet tall. We have cell tower panels in our parking garage downtown. Nobody even knows they're there. We have cell towers that are already on existing poles in right-of-ways. As you turn off a 69 into the main entrance of our mall, there's 3 flagpoles there. Those are cell towers. So I would like to see that something in here that we will promote the use of stealth technology and co-location. You know, if there's already a cell tower there, the other telecommunication companies can sublease space in those cell towers. They don't have to build their own tower. And I would just like to say I have Verizon, I have a cell phone, I support communication because it is important for people to keep in touch, you know, on the internet, their medical, emergencies. 911, and we don't need dead zones and drop calls. And that would decrease people's property values. But I think that we should just make it a little less definitive and just say it may or may not impact property values, and then include something about stealth technology and co-location. Thank you.
Do we want to discuss the items that Kathy brought up and do a vote on them, or
If there's consensus.
in consensus?
Yes. So the introduction, the paragraph that's been questioned, you guys discussed this at many meetings
Right, okay.
and voted
so-
on consensus of what we have now.
So what we have, well, the thing is, we sort of have a consensus on that, because the statement that you mentioned on, starting with the introduction, your first thing, that Prescott Vision, that statement was presented to us by the local Prescott MLK group for peace and justice. And the original language was this paragraph that it said that the city of Prescott will not condone. We changed it to does not condone, because the feeling of the committee was that Prescott never has condoned discrimination and no intention to start condoning it. And then also the different groups that are mentioned here was changed to be more inclusive. Instead of groups and then naming the groups, it was groups such as. We went round and round on this. Not everyone on the committee is comfortable with it the way it is. I agree with you, Kathy, that it is divisive. We watered it down quite a bit, and then Ralph Hess got together with the MLK group and Andre Carmen, who isn't here today, he's a member on the committee, and then worked up this language. And we did vote on it, even though not all of us were comfortable with the positive vote.
And I just would like to say, I think your hearts are in the right place, and the spirit. I really appreciate that. But I'm just going by what our city attorney, by his advice.
Yeah,
And so I'm
Okay.
conveying that to you.
I think we need to be pragmatic about that fact, because the council's going to have the final word, and they're going to listen to the city attorney.
Sure. And personally, my opinion is I'd be happy to just scratch that entire paragraph, because I agree it's not appropriate and it's not necessary. I've lived in Prescott for 37 years, and I've not witnessed discrimination as being a problem in the city of Prescott.
Chair?
Yes.
Just a quick point. If the committee desires to spend time at this meeting on this, that is definitely within your purview. I would recommend that since the committee had gained consensus on this previously, and that this document is going before City Council, that perhaps if it is not something you want to take the time on during this meeting to dive back into, that since consensus was reached, it could go forward to City Council with that currently as is. And then City Council, absolutely, with the input from the city attorney, can change it at that point, remove it, have the discussion at their level. That's a couple of options on the table for you today.
Well, while we're here, I'm going to take just a minute, just go around the table and get the opinions of the committee members, how they feel about having that paragraph taken out of the general plan, if they, how they feel, concur with the advice of the city attorney, or feel strongly that it should be remaining in the document.
Point of order. Ralph Hess, point of order. Today's agenda does not have any action items agendized. We voted on
This
this.
is not a vote. This is not a vote. This is just preference, like we did at the last meeting. And what was it that we did? It was about the designation as the rodeo grounds as recreation and not as medium-high density residential. So
Well, then-
this is not a vote. This is just getting the opinion of the committee members.
Well, then my question, Mr. Chair, is what's the purpose of going around and getting a consensus if
Because-
it's not going to change what's in the draft that goes
Because what
forward?
this will do is allow, We have 2 city council members here in this meeting, and they can take this information back to the city council.
Exactly, it'll
and
be
say-
part of our discussion.
Right, be
when
part of
we
your discussion.
approve. Yes, because we
Exactly.
have to vote to approve the general plan,
So, right.
and
I-
it'll be on the ballot for the community. So
Right.
it's important that we document this
Right.
information because it will help our decision.
Sure. And
Thank you.
this will help the city council in their discussion on this topic. Because
It's like planning and
obviously gonna come
zoning.
up.
You know, we always ask, you know, was something approved unanimously or just barely? You know,
Okay.
it's good to know.
So, do you want to, Jim, how do you feel about this?
I'm in favor of removing that. Jim Huffman, I'm in favor of removing the paragraph
Okay,
in question based on comments that Kathy just made.
Ralph Hess, I'm opposed to removing this provision. We've discussed this almost ad nauseum because it's taken up a lot of time for this committee. I'll respond directly to Ms. Rusing's concerns. One is this is a land use planning document, but within this document, there's a lot of background information. That's why this particular paragraph or this phrasing is in the introduction. It's not in one of the planning portions of it. We talk about some of the cultural advantages within the city. There's a lot of non-land use characteristics to this to give a description of the city of Prescott, and it's in that context that this particular provision was approved. Also, with regard to what you've indicated is the comment of the city attorney saying it's not appropriate, I'm not hearing him saying it's going to create legal problems because this is a land use document, and I don't see any issues that are going to create liability, and no issue of liability has been presented to us before, and I don't hear that in the comment that the city attorney might think it's inappropriate,
Yeah.
but I'm not hearing him say
Well,
that there's.
I don't think I have permission to read his actual statement because it's probably privileged information, so I didn't want to read his comment verbatim. That was just my synopsis of it. So maybe it would be helpful if you had a meeting with him and maybe he could explain it more in detail to you.
Well, okay, but short answer is I oppose removing this. We've talked about it several times. We voted to include it. I oppose removing it.
Jim McCarver, I would suggest that we remove this. I was one of the local committee members that voted against expanding the comments that were put there. Just looking at the original, the last part of the original paragraph, as such, the city does not condone discrimination or harassment of individuals. End of sentence, in my opinion, and not expand on all of the different groups that were expanded on. So I'd like to see it changed in that way.
Tom Riley, we spent an awful lot of time on this thing. I tend to agree with Ralph. Keep it in. If the council wants to remove it, council can remove it.
All right, Terry Sapio. When we voted on this, I voted in favor of it, but I was not comfortable with that vote. I felt that we were a little bit blindsided by it because Ralph had negotiated this with Andre Carmen and the MLK group, and it was not part of the agenda packet, this language that is in here. It showed up on the screen, and I'm looking at the screen. I'm saying, where is it in the agenda packet? It is my feeling that this statement is designed to get a foot in the door toward an anti-discrimination ordinance in the city of Prescott. And it's already gone to the Supreme Court a couple of times from the state of Colorado because they have their own state anti-discrimination laws that have already been proven twice to be unconstitutional. at the cost of many millions of dollars. It was a Masterpiece Bakery in Colorado that took the original lawsuit, and the other one was a company that did websites. The Masterpiece Bakery, in defending himself from the non-discrimination ordinance, he and his supporters spent $2.5 million defending it all the way to the Supreme Court, and he won. You can bet the state of Colorado spent considerably more than $2.5 million in pursuing this.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I'm aware of that. I've also seen the anti-discrimination ordinance. It was passed by Mesa, and I read it, and it totally bypasses a person's right to due process, the business's right to due process, and it puts it in the hands of the city manager, and it can actually drive a business out of business.
absolutely. And the MLK group, when they were here, they said, well, it makes people feel better if it's in there. And this land use document is not about people's feelings. It's, do we have discrimination? Is it a problem in the city, or do we not have a problem with discrimination? And it's my opinion that we do not have a problem with discrimination in Prescott, and we don't need to have this in order to make people's feelings better. And I'm very concerned that this is just getting the foot in the door toward a city non-discrimination ordinance.
Plus,
It's
if you
gonna
feel
cost the city
discriminated
millions of dollars
against-
of litigation.
If you feel discriminated against, we have all kinds of federal laws to
Right.
protect you, and you're certainly welcome to
Yep.
file a complaint.
So my opinion is I would be very happy to see that entire paragraph just go away. Don.
Don Michaelman. We spent hours and hours and hours discussing this. I would say, maybe safely, this one subject was the most we discussed of any subjects here. We didn't all agree, but the majority voted for this. And to come at the last moment and say, oh, no, I changed my mind, I have a problem with that. I think it should stay the way it is. The city council has the right to make a change. And if the city council wants to make a change based upon information they have, that's fine. We voted on this, and with a majority vote, based upon the information we had. So,
Mary.
Thank you, Mary Frederickson. I'm not changing my mind, and I appreciate going around the table indicating that there was a consensus for the language as it sits right now. And at least in my mind, semantically infers that we were all in agreement, and I was not, for reasons, Ms. Rusin, that you have set out. The fact that it has been such a divisive situation here just amongst ourselves indicates how divisive it would be in the community as well. I was against this language, and I remain so.
Right.
Pardon me?
Right. I just acknowledge.
I think I stated before that the council has the ability to take it out and can listen to the city attorney, and I think they should. Because we did vote on it, I would not ask that we take it out, but I would hope that the council will listen to their city attorney.
Okay, JD.
This was very, very difficult for me because in a way I felt that we were blindsided. We had discussed it when it initially passed, and then suddenly it did come back to us. And while I went along because I have great respect for Ralph, I was very uncomfortable with it because once you start listing the specific things that we're not discriminating against, you're going to leave some things out. And I would feel much better not having this delineation in the text. And I certainly would go along with what our city attorney's position is on this matter.
Thank you. Tom.
Tom Davis. Yeah, I came in, I think at the middle of this conversation. It was fascinating at the time. in my experience, this kind of language is unusual for a general plan. It is unusual for land use policy, as the chairman mentioned. I think it probably could have ended. It ended in the city of Prescott in hopes that all people within its limits feels welcome. I think it could have ended there, but it just seemed to me when it was developed that it was kind of a human resources statement, not a land use planning statement. And so I believe I voted with the consensus that it's okay, but it was just odd to me, and so that's where it stood. But I would really like to hear from the city attorney on what this particular statement, what kind of impact this statement long range down the line would have, so that particular issue gets aired out. But I'll stay with the vote that was made, and I agree with some of the folks that if the city council wants to take it out, I would certainly not protest against that.
Mr. Chair,
Ralph.
I want to just briefly address the blindsided comments. Before this paragraph that's currently included in the draft plan, the meeting prior to that, Andre Carmen, during the meeting, suggested that Andre and I meet with the two members of the MLK committee to go and work on the language based on what this committee had stated during that meeting and to bring it back to this committee. And that's what Andre and I and those two gentlemen did. You indicate, I've heard two committee members say they were blindsided, but that information was provided at the meeting before before Andre and I met with the two gentlemen and brought back this language.
But it was not in the agenda packet. It was on the screen, and I was wondering, why is it on the screen and not in the agenda packet?
I don't know that.
So that's the part that had me perplexed. Okay, so what we have, we had Don Michael, just want to adjust the count here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10
That's
members
5 to
present
5.
now.
So it's 5 to 5.
And
5
it's-
for to remove it, 5 to stay.
But it's not a vote.
It's
Not
not
a
a vote, but we've indicated that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, actually,
It was 5 to 5.
She did a tally.
the 5 to 5, okay.
So 5 to remove, 5 to stay. So want to remind you, all you guys are doing is recommending a draft. This draft's going to go to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which we can get more legal input from our city attorney at that time. If the Planning and Zoning Commission wishes it, then they make a recommendation of the draft that goes forward to city council. So at city council, this can be removed. This can be removed during planning and zoning. So right now, you're just reviewing the draft to make sure we're capturing everything from the public and that we've addressed everything. And then we, hopefully, at their next meeting, we move this forward to planning and zoning. So,
Mr. Chair,
Ralph.
Ralph Hess, I want to make sure planning and zoning cannot take stuff out of the draft, can they? Can they only make recommendations, or can they actually amend this draft?
they can amend the draft that moves forward.
Oh, great.
Your work's cut out for you, Ralph.
That's why we kept reminding you guys through this whole process. You guys are a review body, reviewing the draft to move forward to planning and zoning. Planning and zoning is going to flush it out. They can make changes. They can change things. Then it goes to city council, who can amend and change things before they approve it, before it goes to the voters.
Can planning and zoning opt out of this?
No.
Brad.
Thank you.
Brad.
Good try.
Well, once again, I want to thank you for taking on this enormous task. You know, it's a good thing it's only every 10 years. And I think you did a fabulous job. Thank
Okay,
you.
Thank you,
Tom.
Kathy.
Tom.
I think the discussion that we just had is important for the city council to hear. So, I mean, I hope that some sort of
Yes. Lois?
comment or record would
No,
go.
I mean, honestly, Ted and I heard the discrepancies and we heard that while you were talking. And frankly, I've also, outside of you all, gone and consulted with some folks too. So, I'm not going to share my bias at this point, but I do think this is an area that is concerning to many on council.
Okay. Rod?
And along with this recording, I was going to ask, does the council get to see the unamended version as well? I would think they all have it, right?
So what council's going to get in their packet is whatever Planning and Zoning Commission recommends moving forward.
But they would also be able to get a copy before that, right?
They have copies. They
Yeah.
get it printed for them.
Everybody's watching.
Okay.
And right now, our copy's on the website. So, and then as it moves forward, it'll always be in the agenda packets.
So I think that the result of this conversation is that this has been a divisive topic from the very beginning. It continues to be divisive. We can't apparently give appropriate guidance to the city council, so I guess the city council is going to have to make a decision, and that's what you get paid the big bucks for.
I have to disagree with that. When we voted on this, the majority agreed to this, otherwise it would not be in the general plan. That's just that simple.
But from what we've
Not
just
everybody,
yes,
but
yeah.
the majority voted.
And I'm one of the people that voted for it, and I was not comfortable voting for it, and I would, if I were to vote for on this subject again, I would vote against it because of its divisiveness.
Is this horse dead yet?
So,
Mr. Chair,
is anybody, okay, Ralph?
I'm not going to comment on this issue, but I'd like to have the minutes reflect that in light of the fact that the Planning and Zoning Commission can change this complete draft that we've been working on for the past 2 years, I'd like the minutes to reflect that during the course of this committee, a majority of the Planning and Zoning Commission members have sat on this. We have 3 now.
3 out of 7.
No, we have 3 now, but also Tom Hutchison.
He was replacing him.
Right. I know, but currently,
They weren't simultaneous.
no, I know, I understand that. But that's why I said during the course of this committee, 4 of the members, which is a majority, have at one time or another been on this committee. And right now we have 3, which is 1 short of the majority. Just like to have the minutes reflect that.
Okay. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate you bringing that up. Oh, do we want to have any discussion on cell towers? That was the other thing Kathy brought up.
So if we look at the strategies, the goals and strategies is to look at continued technology. It keeps changing every year, the technology and what the FCC says that cities and towns can regulate. So and it's the last, under Community Connected, the last page, I believe, is, sorry, I don't have it. I didn't expect us to be going through the draft.
You get to the page.
Yeah, so basically plan for new technology.
What page?
61 of the new draft. I don't know about the old one, but it's plan for new technology. You know, that's where we're going to be looking at the new technology as applications come forward. They may bring something new. There's things that they can approve administratively that staff can. So there's the technology out there, and we're going to be working with the cell carriers and hopefully others that as they come forward to look at the newest technology to see what's more appropriate for the areas. Because it is a lot of capacity issues that we see in the city of Prescott. Due to we're not flat like Prescott Valley. Prescott Valley can have a few towers up high and cover the whole city. Prescott, you can't do that. We need a lot of infill, but that's where we plan for new technology. So we already have that covered under the goal and the strategies, and then
Okay.
technology changes every year with cell
Chair.
towers.
Mary?
Just to agree with, thank you. Just to agree with the need to change the language of that one paragraph that Councilwoman Rusing pointed out, and I just scribbled, but I would suggest that we could just say close proximity of cellular towers to residences may negatively impact property values, comma, the input is, or the impact is debated. Just because different
There's
people have
information
different
on both
ideas that.
sides.
I would agree with that.
We see a lot of information on
Jake.
how it's actually increases property values because we have changed a lot in people working from home and using their phones and their tablets and stuff for work. So.
Tammy, and you're certainly right, as technology improves, the aesthetic impact of a cell tower will change over time.
Correct.
JD.
JD Greenberg, I would like to go back to what Kathy Rusing said, and she had actually said may or may not. So just add the may not.
Okay. Any other comments on cell towers? Well, thank you, Kathy. I think you brought up a couple of good points. Thank you, and appreciate it.
We'll add it to the comments. That's something we'll change in it. So what's happening is that we're still getting comments. It ends next week, the 60-day public comment period. We're going to go through all the comments and add the rest onto here and how we can address them. A lot of it's spelling errors, missed words, or others. Then we'll have specific ones that we want to ask your input on. One of them I see now. Let me find it. If you look on the spreadsheet on page 4, it's the third one down.
On the spreadsheet.
On the spreadsheet, yeah. I'm bringing it up now, so.
Which one is
Over
that?
here. So pages 41, 42 on climate change. This segment, IMHO overstresses electric vehicles. Yes, they are an important class of vehicles, but this segment should be tempered. Diversity of fuel sources should be recognized. The fuel cycle economics of each fuel type and application needs to be at least be mentioned. In particular, it should worry us all that one EV station creates 4 jobs. The basic economic model with this type of assumption should be checked. So on pages 41 and 42, which and I don't have that, sorry. Do you want us to look more into this? Or a lot of this information was given to us by the Klimas group. They had white papers created for climate and energy because those were new areas we added. But we can look into maybe lessening this a little bit or not making it so specific in regards to electric vehicles and bring you guys back a suggestion for that verbiage. That was when we weren't sure how to address it.
Chair, Chair.
Mary.
Mary Frederickson, I appreciated the chance to look at this more closely. I certainly agree as far as simplifying it goes, looking at that chart that details out the different cities and how many of each specific kinds of charging stations there may be. I'm sure the vast majority of people, and I know I'm included in that, who look at the column for DS Fast Rivian charges, and nobody has any except for Sedona has a half a dozen. I think that breakout of the different kinds of charges is unnecessary and would just confuse people. If you wanted to include a chart like this, I could see the last 3 columns, the total number of chargers, the city population, and the calculation for how much that looks as far as, and for anybody who's looking through the paper copy, this is on pages 39 and 40.
Thank you.
But anyway, I don't know that this whole chart is necessary, but if it is to be included, I think you can eliminate the breakout of the various kinds of charges and just go with the summary.
Yeah, but that's also from 2023, and there's probably been a lot of changes in that because of the new federal regulations and federal funding to hopefully bring more.
And beyond that, and speaking of changes, the paragraph, and I appreciate the passion that Klimas has for this subject, but under the energy section, where they say, well, electric vehicles are growing tremendously and car manufacturers are going to look to only sell electrics by 2030 or 2035. Well, that's already fallen away. Okay. And car manufacturers are already backing off that idea. So including some of that language as if it is a fact going forward is not accurate in my book, and the same as far as electric chargers. I don't know how they think this, but create 4 jobs per charger, or a
Yeah.
gas dispenser, only one per gas dispenser. I think that kind of language is fine, political argument or debate, but not really factual for
This
a
type of-
general plan.
Okay, we can look at softening that language.
Any other
Oh,
comments?
sorry, one more.
Okay.
There is reference in here to the Climate Action Plan, and I'm assuming there's going to be like a hyperlink to it.
Yeah, I thought we had that in there. Oh, it's on the online version.
It is, and I see it, it's here on the print
okay.
version as well. Is that, I'm afraid people will look at that and indicate that this infers that the city adopts this action plan.
There's no goal or strategy to do that, so.
Right.
We're just providing information for the
Right.
public, like we do with all the
So
lots
is-
of those.
If there be some language for informational purposes,
Okay.
here is a link to the Climate Action Plan. Just to kind of soften the idea that we're not including this as a link because the city is endorsing or adopting the action points within the Climate Plan.
Do we need to do that with each of the links to say for further information? You can look here.
I'll look at what we have and see how it's worded ahead of it or after it. We're going to have to go through and edit it anyways. There's a lot of, misspellings and stuff. It's a big document, and we need one person to go through it rather than 4 or 5 because things don't get caught. So we're
Reading the spellings here, okay.
Somebody's going to get
but
the
the
short,
public, there's a lot of comments.
somebody's going to get the short straw to go through it and look for typos.
So that there are this wrong verbiage. A lot of the comments is a lot of that, that there's wrong word used or to soften something up. A lot of the comments we are seeing is something we don't address in the general plan.
Do we want to go page by page and just see if anybody has any comments? Let's get a little linear.
Yeah. So I guess on page 1, well, if we want to start there, kind of come past that a little bit, but that's what I'm saying. Is there anything big that came out of the comments that you guys feel that needs to be addressed or reworded that we're missing or we missed the mark on? That's really what we're looking for.
Lois? Lois got some?
As I was looking at some of these comments, it would be helpful just so whoever it was who made this comment feels that they got a response or a comment back. And so some of the stuff here on even page 1, it's illegal. We can't do these things. So even just stating that, state statute says this, I think it would be helpful.
So that's what we're doing. So we have the comments, and then we have the department comments. We're saying either it's something we can't address or that it's a violation of the state law. And this spreadsheet will have all the comments that we received and how we can address it if we can.
This is not the version that was in the meeting packet.
I think this was updated after.
That's why I'm operating off of
Yeah,
lots
it's
of blank spaces here.
Yeah, so since then, because this was from November 5th. Since then, we've had department heads go into it
But
and
I'm
put
talking about
comments.
what went out to the public
Yes.
about this meeting today.
So
That was
comments
what I
during
just
November-
printed to make sure if anything changed, I had the latest, and the latest has lots of no comments.
Yes, because that was through November 5th, which was a couple weeks ago. But since then, we've asked the department heads, like I said, beginning of meeting, that the version I have up there now is the updated version with the department head comments, with the comments that we have received. That hasn't changed because that's cut and pasted from what people put on the virtual meeting room. This
Okay,
is
do you
with
have
the
a
address.
do you have a copy that everyone who has what came out in the meeting call and even the public sitting here in the room can
We
all
will.
see what you're
We
seeing?
will. So
Because I'm sorry, you were saying let's go page by page, and I'm trying to go
I
page
know, I
by
understand
page,
that.
and I'm not
So
reconciling.
This spreadsheet is a living document. It's going to keep getting updated until we close the 60-day comment period. Then that is what's going to move forward through the public hearing process. So the Planning and Zoning Commission and the City Council can see all the comments that we received during the 60-day comment period and how we can address them or if we can address them. So like I said, this is from November 5th because, we have to get things in the packet 2 weeks in advance to be on the agenda packet. So that was November 5th. That was the last time I could print anything and attach it.
Okay.
But we've had things
That's
added.
fine. If the
and I wanted
committee
to
can
get-
follow along with you, because they have a refreshed version, that's fine. I'll just sit quietly back here with the rest of the public.
Okay, and then what you guys have is also from November 5th, that's in the packet. That's why I'm saying, based on what you received, was there anything that you see that needs to be addressed, or is that, didn't just talk about spelling errors or misinformation, or that we need to address that we missed the mark?
JD.
I haven't finished going through all of this, but on page number 13, it refers to page 70, and it talks about the Prescott Center for the Arts, and we need to update that because it has now been bought and renamed.
Once we figure out that name, but right now,
No.
my understanding is we haven't heard anything official. The city has not received anything to say that there's been a change.
So even though it's been in the Courier and been online, we need to contact the people and have them inform the city. Is that what we need to do?
Has the name changed? I think that's.
Yes, yes.
It is.
Okay,
There's
we will
like
reach out. and see.
fourth wall, and then,
Very-
and I can't remember, there's a woman, it
We-
ends in Howenstein or something like that.
Yeah, that's some,
But at any rate, that jumped out at me.
What is it? Here.
Yeah, okay. Hazeltine.
Hazeltine?
Named after the Hazeltine family.
Hazeltine, that's,
Donated the church to the city.
Ralph.
Yeah, Ralph Hess. I have a just general question. Once the spreadsheet is updated with all of the comments from the departments and whomever else is going to be included on this spreadsheet, is it going to be posted in the virtual meeting room on the website?
so once the 60-day public comment period is ended, we're going to shut down the virtual meeting room because that's when we stop getting comments.
Okay.
And so, because we say it's open through the state. So once it's done, then we'll close the virtual meeting room. We're going to take all those comments and update the spreadsheet, make sure to ask the department heads to address the ones that need to be addressed. And that's what we're going to bring to you at the next meeting. It will be in the packet for the public to see all the comments we received during the 60-day comment period and how or if we can address it.
Okay, and it'll be addressed, and then it'll be posted on the city website,
Under the
not
60-day
not the
comment
virtual,
period.
not the
Well,
virtual meeting room, but
It-
on the general plan, under the icon for the general plan.
Yes, so on the Plan Prescott website, under a 60-day public comment period, we'll have, here are the comments received and
And the explanations.
yes.
Okay, great.
Tom, I think you had a comment or something?
Yes. Yeah, Tom Davis. I see there's an updated comment here from what I have, but it's regarding a comment, the third comment down in the first page, where the city is not addressing the overdraft situation. We had a small discussion about this a while ago. It's one of my concerns. We have this blank, and it's on my page 31 of the document, where
It's
we
the
don't
decision.
really have a water capacity test or comparison to work with regards to capacity of development versus available water. And I'm a big believer in infrastructure-supported land development. And I wondered if this is going to get addressed in more detail, or there is going to be a trigger with regards to both groundwater and surface water availability for future development.
So I showed this to our Water Resources Department, and we still haven't got the decision and order from ADWR, which is what we've been waiting for. There are some numbers that can be updated. They realized that there was a couple of typos that they put in there, or that was missing. So we're going to fill that in, or we're going to reward it if we still don't have the decision and order by the end of the year.
Okay.
Let me expand on that.
Microphone.
Just expand on that. There's a couple other paragraphs that weren't commented on. The one below what you said, all wells in the city should be metered, and then the industrial in the county, industrial uses should be metered also. And I don't know if that's something that we need to comment on, but they were left blank. And so is somebody going to look at those? The ones I'm referring to are on page.
That's right. It already has the comments there. So the city has no regulatory authority over wells which are permitted through Yavapai County and ADWR.
Is that in the city limits too?
Yes, the city cannot regulate wells. That's all done through ADWR. And we have no jurisdiction outside the city of Prescott except where we have water service agreements with.
Tom?
Yeah, we're going to have another meeting on these things too. So I have a couple of things, and if I can keep this for just a few minutes, I'll try to blow through them. Going through the pages, on page 2, first comment. It's page 2, yeah. Water resources section. I don't know which new comments. There was a blank there now, but I think that Big Chino Pipeline, okay, they have a big thing in there, talking all about it. Good enough. Move on. Then the other one is going to be page 4. Bottom comment. Prescott Vision, well, it's supposed to be Vision. Include a thriving, forward-looking community with strong fiscal responsibility in the management of its assets. And I like that idea, and I think that one of the assets that the city needs to manage, perhaps in the general plan, it needs to be stated, and that's our existing businesses, particularly because these businesses, existing business, collect sales tax and promoting new businesses coming into town and supporting them, because that's what's going to be bringing in the sales tax. People go to businesses, and that's how the city collects it. They don't collect it on their own. So supporting business and business growth in the city is something that I think the general plan should somehow state that. And that same comment for me would be on page, I think it's page 14. Third comment down. Says again, supporting all businesses, and I think we need to do that. I think we need to include that and incorporate that into the someplace into the plan wherever it's appropriate. Probably be several places into the plan where it might be appropriate to talk about supporting and encouraging business activity within the city of Prescott, particularly in light of the fact that 478 just passed. I mean, that is going to be funding our first responders and all of the support that we need for that. And if we don't support the reason that gives us the sales tax, why bother? So I think we need to have stronger language in there about support of businesses, both existing and new, encouraging new.
Excuse me, Tom, what section are you talking about? What comment are you talking about?
Page 14.
Page 14, third comment down.
Okay, thank you.
Economic competitiveness and that whole genre.
Okay.
I just think we need to have some stronger wording in the document about the business support, and I just think it's important. And I'm done. I'm ready to go home.
Okay. Do we want to continue going page by page, or does anybody have any comments, additional comments from what they've read?
Can I just say one?
Chelsea?
Yeah, so to Tammy's earlier comments, this is just a mid-check-in on public comment. So the public comment period hasn't closed. And to Lois's earlier point, this is a document that's going to be fully fleshed out as soon as the public comment period closes. There's just so many that we wanted to have at least a preliminary conversation to see, is there any red flags? Are there any big ticket items that you want us to start working on? It's going to take the department heads several days to work through each of these comments, have staff fill in their responses for you. We hope to have that all wrapped up by the December 11th meeting for you to really review all of the comments with all of the staff responses. However, at this point in time, we're just asking, hey, is there anything that stands out? Are there big things you want us to focus on? Tom, you going through and just kind of giving us your big high-level view, that was perfect. That's kind of what we're looking for. So, thank you.
Anybody else? JD?
Today is not an action meeting, correct? So
Right.
that if there is something that is still appearing on the document online, we cannot act to correct it in terms of, the one thing I'm referring to, and you had sent me one email, but it's regarding the open space. It's still listed as a committee, and the intent was that it be a commission.
Right, and that hasn't been corrected.
Acquisition was taken out, but it was listed as a committee instead of a commission, so thank you.
Thanks.
And also, we wanted to make that more inclusive, not just open space acquisition, but open space
Well, I
acquisition,
think-
maintenance, and.
I don't necessarily think that would be the title of the entity,
Yep.
but the purpose would be that it would be an oversight and that it would take care of maintenance, look at the maintenance issue as well as acquisition, would be multipurpose, not just
So
for
we just want to make
acquisition.
the name Open Space Commission, not Open Space Acquisition Commission.
Correct.
Because then it's more inclusive. It's just Open Space Commission.
It needs to be a committee that is an
Commission.
a commission. Well, yes, it needs to be an entity, a commission that operates continuously, not just when there's the prospect of gaining more open
Sure.
space. And I think that the situation with Acker Park that I spoke about at the last meeting is a prime example of that. I think it also would relate to what's going on regarding the Granite Creek parking lot
Uh-huh.
that actually had been signed off by Sam Steiger as open space and part of the Greenway corridor.
Can we go ahead, can we make that correction in the document, or does that have to wait?
It's corrected, but in most, there's mentioned in 2 or 3 places, and it's correct in 2, and I think there was one place that still said committee open space acquisition when I looked through it. So that's one of the updates that will be fixed in the plan, because there are a few comments about that in the comments we received.
All right, great. That should take care of it, JD. Thank you. Rod?
I just want to say, I think there are a whole lot of these that raise red flags with me because I think, and I'm not an attorney, that we can't do them legally. But that's not my expertise. I think Lois alluded to this, and I think our city attorney needs to weigh in on these. And there's therefore no point on me doing that.
Well, you can mention it and, let us know what you're thinking.
Well, I could probably go through here and mark off a couple dozen of them.
Okay, anything in particular you wanted to address today?
Well, we already talked about the inability to regulate wells, but that comes up more than once here.
Okay.
But these are just these are the public comments that we received, word for word.
Right.
I copy and pasted for
Right.
what they put in. We just to make sure that say this is something we can address, or per ARS whatever, that this is regulated by ADR. So that's part of the education. So as this document moves forward, because we
Yeah.
want to make sure that all the public's comments are addressed, that this is going to be included in all the packets to the Planning and Zoning Commission
Right.
and City Council.
And you may have already, or staff may have already commented on some that I can't see here, and I can't read them on the screen.
I understand.
Lois?
One more on page 1, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th one down. I think because people come here from all over the country, they might be used to different laws and different ideas. But anyhow, this public comment, well, I didn't agree with everything of it. I do think it had a theme that I've heard actually being out in the public the last few months working on 478. And the question I had for staff to look into is when it comes to the concept of developer shortcuts, or later on, the taxpayer paying for the lack of something being done properly. I was wondering if in the state of Arizona, if there's any other cities or towns that operate or are able to get some level of warranties. And I just think that might come from the perspective of people coming from other states, but the question is that even a possible avenue that other people have explored here, and it's a shutdown no, or it could be explored. So I think that's just a question I had because I've heard it out on the road a lot.
I think that the registrar of contractors, whether you're working for the city or working for a business or any other entity, has a mandatory warranty period for something to happen. And I'm pretty sure that the city benefits from that mandatory time. So it's for road work, buildings, anything, there is a minimum of a 2-year warranty that is required by state statute.
Post-conveyance.
Yes. So when the contract ends, the warranty 2-year period begins.
Thank you, because the sentence that said the developer's no longer responsible had me like, what? There's no warranties in the state?
there are.
Again, that's, unfortunately, a lot of these comments come from a less than researched point of view. Did I say that nicely?
Polite.
Yeah. I could.
That's generous.
If I could just add,
Tom Davis.
In other states, also performance bonds can be negotiated in place in addition to the mandatory state requirements. So,
Yeah,
I would. A big infrastructure project, for example, would need to have a performance bond that could be collectible.
Yeah, and that takes care of things during the construction process, making sure that it completes on time.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's completed, though, the warranty period that Lois was talking about is something that
Yeah, I may not be using.
the bond doesn't follow the 2-year period.
I agree. I
Chelsea?
may not use the proper term, but there have been bonds floated for 20, 30 years. And I think the Industrial Development Authority has a couple of bonds still outstanding. So those things can be put in place if the need or desire by the jurisdiction is required.
Chelsea?
Yeah, so the city of Prescott does require what we call financial assurances. It's taken care of through the Public Works Department for new construction. A lot of time, it simply covers a percentage of the public part of the infrastructure. So I believe that is only don't quote me, but I believe it is only a 2-year either warranty. There's various forms of the financial assurance. They accept cash, check, Vimo. No, there are letters of credit, et cetera. But there is a little bit of an assurance there through the Public Works Department. But again, that's for limited parts of the total project.
Mary?
Thank you. And just following up on what Rod was saying as far as the legalities of responding to some of these public comments, I'm assuming that when the department heads who would have the expertise in any particular area look at these public comments, if in fact what the public was suggesting was not possible because of state statutes or any other jurisdictional issues that might come up, that the department heads who are commenting on these comments would put that information in so that the public would know if they went back later and saw their comment, seeing the department head say, we hear you, but state statute blah, blah says that's not for us to comment or act on. So to the extent that the department head may not have shared that information, that might be good for you to prompt them. Is there, if there is a legal reason why we can't do X or Y, say so.
Or the department head may need to consult with the city attorney.
They don't know, yes.
And there is like Tom mentioned, there is a warranty period. I have an example. My house in Durango, it was the first house built in this new section of a development. And the developer had paved the road, the county had accepted it, and houses were being built. Mine was already completed with the driveway and everything. And the county comes back to the developer and says, wait a minute, this asphalt that you paved is not thick enough. We have a minimum standard where, for weight of fire trucks, heavy vehicles, things like that, it has to be thicker. So the developer came back and at their expense, they put another layer of asphalt on. And at their expense, they also, since they increased the height of the road by a couple inches, my driveway had to be raised a couple of inches. They paid to have my driveway raised to be flush with the road. So there is a warranty period at the expense of a developer that if it isn't done correctly, it has to be done at the developer's expense.
At least in Colorado.
Well, I think that's almost pretty much everywhere. Yeah, at least in Colorado, but I'm sure it's like that in Arizona as well. Okay, where else? Anybody else have any other comments? Okay. Come on.
I had one on page 16 talking about noise ordinances codes. It's the fourth column down. There's no response, at least on this page. Do we have anything like that? And or does one of the departments need to comment on that?
Which item? 16.
It's on page 16, 1, 2, 3, 4, fourth box down. Set and implement citywide noise ordinance.
There is, the city does have a noise ordinance, and it's pretty much enforced reactively as opposed to proactively, but it's still, the city does have a noise ordinance in place.
So they implied by this that perhaps Sedona has a stricter noise ordinance that needs. I don't know the actual decibel numbers that they fine people with, but if we had some response, I'd like to see some response to that.
Yeah, that would be our police department that typically enforces the noise ordinance, so we can have them speak to those items.
Tony Hamer.
Thank you. Look, I really feel that this committee has done a very good job in terms of assembling a lot of information. There's a lot of good stuff in the plan. Unfortunately, there seems to be a volume issue where a lot of stuff gets hidden very easily. It's not an easy plan to read. One of the things that I looked at was, how does this fit with other activities that the city has going on? For example, the city strategy, which was developed back in February this year. And I looked at the vision from that strategy, and it said, to be the premier community in the Southwest. Now, agree with it or not, that's what it says. Now, in the general plan, we have a vision which says very clearly, Prescott strives to be a charming, welcoming, and sustainable community. And then there's another couple of sentences after that. And they're just not the same thing. Now, I think in terms of any high-performance organization, that we should have some parallelism or exactly the same, unless we change the title away from a vision to something else, a vision of the general plan, but it needs to still come under the strategy of the city. So I would offer that as something for you guys to look at so that we have consistency in terms of where we're all going. Make sense?
Tammy?
Yeah, so our public outreach department put out a sheet on our website because there seemed to be some confusions about the difference between a strategic plan, which is only for 2 to 5 years, and a general plan so the strategic plan is more the operational, more the down on the ground. And then a general plan is the 30,000-foot view. So there is a difference between the strategic plan, which is updated and reviewed every year by the city council and departments, and the general plan is a 10-year vision. So there is a very distinct, and there is some information on our website, and that I remember John Heine put out there that kind of explained the difference between the strategic plan and general plans.
Lois?
Yeah, I want to talk to exactly. When we did our February offsite to do the strategic plan, we spent all 2 days doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All of a sudden, it got published in June, and there was this to be the preeminent community. That had been around for like 8 years. We never discussed that as that is part of, if we ever get our second offsite, maybe in December, those are the things that we'll be looking to renew versus carry over from the past. So actually some of the stuff that you have in here in the vision comments that we're even getting from the community are all really good stuff for us. So don't take our strategic plan as being fully baked, because the 5 are fully baked, but the intro page shocked us all.
Kathy?
I'm glad you brought that up. I have been on 5 strategic plan cycles, and every year I bring that vision up to be the premier community in the Southwest. It sounds like some mobile home park in Mesa for 55 and overs. I mean, it is.
Hey, careful.
I'm sorry. And it does not describe us at all. And I have brought that up every year. I brought it up this year, and somehow it got into it. So thank you. And we're going to work on coming up with something more cohesive with our general plan. Thank you.
Actually, sorry, it was a PSA blast on Facebook and our social media that they put that. There was a difference between the strategic plan and the general plan.
Well, that is one way of looking at it, but there needs to be a rationale as to how those two come together. While you may not have the same time frame, although many strategic plans do, there should be a rationalization in terms of the vision between these two. Otherwise, we're in for a lot of confusion.
Okay, thanks,
Thank
Tony.
you.
All right, what else do we have? JD?
I just want to bring up, because I know that Ralph sent out an email, and it had to do with, on the old page, the printed page on 58, the strategies with working with, coordinating with federal and state agencies, and strategy 1.3.
For what section are you looking at? You need to get a little bit more specific for our notes and
Wildlife
that we know.
corridors, is that
It
what you're
was,
talking about?
oh God, where's my other one? It was in the old printed book. It was page 58, and the goal was to improve protection of species through the interactivity of open spaces and wildlife corridors.
Is this in the wild?
What
Is this in the
strategy
wildlife
What
corridor?
strategy number, JD?
Under,
Strategy number?
well, it was strategy, it was goal, yes, it
What
was
section are
under
we looking
wildlife
at?
corridors.
Wildlife corridors. Strategy number is?
And it was, and the strategy that Ralph had referred to were 1.3, 1.5, and 1.7. And it had to do with coordinating with federal and state agencies and adjoining jurisdictions to improve regional connectivity of open space and wildlife corridors. Strategy 1.5 was to collaborate with Arizona Game and Fish and other local and national professionals to develop and implement a best practice guide for wildlife corridors and crossings. And strategy 1.7, collaborate with other government units and private landowners to restore natural flow to floodplains, especially where this would serve to enhance wildlife habitat, especially in ensuring that they have access to perennial water. And I just wanted to bring these areas up because there is so much that is going on right now. And I've mentioned before what Prescott Valley is doing in terms of
Point of order, Mr. Chairman?
Tom?
We're supposed to be commenting on the comments, not reviewing the plan again.
Okay, I understand.
So
I'm letting JD finish. I think she's just about complete, and then we'll get back to this. Go ahead, JD.
Well, I just wanted to say that and I know that there will be comments regarding these areas coming in because I attended 2 meetings yesterday and there was a lot more community interest in these areas and they do plan to comment. And I just want to say how spot on we are that we're bringing this into the general plan at this time when there's so much regional interest and activity going on in these specific areas.
Okay, thanks, JD. All right, and to Tom's point, yes, we are commenting on the public comments. Any more? Does anybody have anything else? Do we want to continue going down the list, or is everybody happy with what we have so far on the public comments?
So if there's nothing else that anybody wants to discuss, to address, or about that are standing out, then what we'll do is we'll finish getting the comments on there, finish the public comment period. That ends next week. We'll get all those in the spreadsheet. We'll work with the department heads to get comments and look at state statutes and stuff and make sure we quote all that adequately. And then what we're planning on changing in the plan, we'll bring that back to you for the next meeting to get your consensus, to vote on it, that yes, these changes need to be updated. And then we're hoping, the goal is to get it moved to the Planning and Zoning Commission. So you're going to say, yes, we agree with these changes. Then over the holiday, before we take it to Planning and Zoning, we will make those changes in the draft. I'm not going to be able to do it before December 11th, make the changes in the draft. With Georgian, with low staff right now, so that's about as far as I could get to get it in the packet and stuff. So that's kind of our next step, our staff's next step, is to keep reviewing these, adding them, and addressing them as much as possible.
Chair, sorry,
Mary.
Mary Frederickson, Tammy, before the December 11th meeting, will we have a done spreadsheet of all the public comments and all the input from the department heads, staff?
Yes,
Yes,
we'll have that
okay.
in the next packet.
Thank you.
Rod?
Will it be printed like this?
We can do that, yes.
Yeah, I think I commented in the last meeting that too many of these are too much in the weeds to be in the general plan. And some of them staff hasn't commented on yet here. Maybe they have up there. I assume you're identifying those.
Yeah, so if it's something that we cannot address in the general plan, we make note of that. This is not something for a general plan, or this can't be addressed because of this statute, or it's already addressed in another section and we're quoting that section.
Or because it's just too much in the weeds.
Yes. Well, we can't say that, but we're saying.
Your job.
Lois?
Thank you, Terry. Tammy, I just had one more thought on page 5. It's somebody asking about, can we really understand the population of this city? And that came up not only in the work that Public Works and Finance did with impact fees, but it also came up again in Prop 478, because some people were like, well, why would we tax the visitors and the tourists? And we were like, because they double the size of our town every day and they get sick here and they get help.
Yeah.
So you said we'll go in the direction of tourism. I think there's some better places to go within the city to tie into the total, so that we stay congruent with the work that we did just recently with P478 and with the impact fees. So.
Was that someone's comment that was on there?
Yeah.
The fourth comment down.
Nope, it says planning. We will reach out to tourism for updated numbers. And my point is go through Dallin to the right direction so we are cohesive across multiple efforts going on. Correct. Tourists are just one piece of our population.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on the public comments? Tammy, is there anything else that you wanted to bring up that caught your eye, that you wanted us to look at?
Not
Chelsea?
I just have one thing. So for the next meeting, when we send this out, it would be exceptionally helpful if everybody has the opportunity to go through the entire spreadsheet with all of the completed responses from staff and be able to just say, we agree that this should be updated and changed, or we accept what staff has said. If you have any comments or changes, so that we can efficiently go through each of them line by line as needed. This was a good kind of first touch, like Lois's comment, to help us go back and reach out to others. That's exactly what we need to get to work, because there's so many. We knew it was going to take us several weeks to get through all of it. So we want to make sure that the public is heard and that staff has the opportunity to either comment and say, yeah, that's a great change, or maybe, hey, that's illegal. So we'll go through that, but if we can be prepared for the next meeting, it might take a little bit longer, but if everybody's prepared, we can get through it efficiently.
When you have the revised one ready and send it out, can you have printed copies come out? Because I have challenges getting this size off my
Absolutely.
printer.
Yeah, we'll make you.
And we could just stop by and pick them up?
Yep.
If you'd let us know, then when they're available, we can get them.
So when I send the agenda packet out to you, I have copies already ready for you.
Okay, Tom?
May I just suggest that they be numbered in some fashion so that maybe we can cross-reference the comments by number or identity.
Okay.
All right, Rod?
And since you want us to comment on the comments, maybe you could include in the spreadsheet another small column that we could put our comments in.
We can add them with this.
I
That
meant type in. Oh, yeah, we could type in there. Yeah, that's true.
well, you'll say it to me, and then we'll add it. That was kind of the idea here today, was that we were going to be live editing. We're trying to figure out how to use this room better, more efficiently. It's been a little difficult with the technology. So, but we got all your notes between Chelsea and I. So we'll go through and we'll keep updating this.
Ralph?
Yeah, Don's right. If we had the spreadsheet version, we could put our comments under yours because most of those blocks are pretty big.
Ralph?
Yeah, Ralph Hess. I look at page 18. There's a couple of comments. This appears a couple times throughout, and this is just an example. It says, planning will review the groups and add to updated draft. Planning will add the team task force in updated draft. My question is, are you going to be making any changes to the updated draft that's online between now and December 11th?
I don't have time.
I beg your pardon?
I don't have time.
Oh, no. I wasn't asking you to. I want to know that we're looking at, everybody's looking at the same thing.
Yes, so that's why we keep going, go back to the draft that's online, because that's the one the public's commenting on. Well, and we can kind of see with some of the comments that they went to certain sections. You could tell people went to this section, and that's what they reviewed and commented on. And that's why we're kind of like, well, this was actually addressed in this section on this page. So we're trying to direct people with this spreadsheet that it is addressed, it's just somewhere else.
Yeah, so
James?
there were several, in addition, that you mentioned. Planning will update and draft. And most of these were comments where people suggested changing the wording. So are you implying by that comment that you will make changes in the draft
As it moves forward.
pertaining to what they were suggesting?
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
So there may be some.
Well, the changes aren't,
Yeah.
the changes aren't going to happen between now and December 11th when we're having our meeting. We're going to have the opportunity to look at all the comments and all the proposed changes that are in there, and we can comment on those and give them back those comments. And based on what we comment on, then they will change, staff will change the draft based on our direction.
Yeah, everyone's saying the same thing. And really, the idea is to collect all of the changes and then go in and edit the document one time. everybody's reviewing the same draft online, and then we'll make those changes. And those changes that we acknowledged in the spreadsheet are simple grammatical things, or hey, you used the wrong, the wrong word here, change the tense or what have you. So we'll be updating those, but that will happen before planning and zoning reviews the document.
Okay, anything else?
Are you printing this from a PDF or from Excel or what?
Excel. I just don't have a way of sharing it with you, only internally. So to allow you to add comments onto it. But we are taking your comments and we are putting in there, general plan committee, this is your comment. So we are adding your guys' comments into the spreadsheet too. That's why we have some
Okay.
notes like discuss with GBC,
So in other words, work on paper.
And you can always, after the next meeting, because you're all welcome to come by and pick up a copy, that if you write comments on there, you can give them to me at the end of the meeting, and then to make sure I capture them accurately.
Okay.
You can also email them to me too, as you're going through it. When you get the copy, that if you have specific comments you want to get to me beforehand, then we can add it to it, so we have it here at the meeting too, because we can.
Okay.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, well, thank you very much, and thank you, Kathy and Lois. Kathy brought up some good points. I just wish we could have given you a better consensus, but you can see how that issue is very divisive, and it's going to be very divisive. Anything else? All right, in that case, we can call this meeting adjourned.